Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another MMA breakdown. Did Jake Paul steal the show at UFC 261? When you had over 15,000 people chanting F Jake Paul. I think for a lot of people, they're not going to take this guy serious until he fights a real boxer. And I understand a lot of you fans of Jake Paul go, well, he's knocking people out. Until he fights a legitimate boxer. I'm not talking Canelo. I'm not talking a elite level boxer. I'm talking a guy who trains boxing that's on the same level as him. Not a basketball player, not a YouTuber, not a MMA guy who's never boxed in his life. I'm talking about a straight up boxer who is just a boxer. Not a guy who's like 30 pounds less than him. Not somebody who's actually just blogging for a living. An actual boxer, not an MMA guy, not a YouTuber, not a video game guy, not a NASCAR rider, not a golfer, a real boxer. I'm not talking about a legit boxer like Mayweather, but an actual guy who's been in there and has like 3 wins or 4 wins. Then you will know if he's a guy who can really box when he's fighting somebody who can actually hang and bang with him.
Listen, do you know what would happen to this guy? He ain't fighting in the UFC. These guys are... You're getting me talking about this fucking guy again. He's getting hand-picked opponents, and God knows what else is going on with that whole fucking
I
thing.
mean, we do get it that he is getting hand-picked opponents. Yes, the UFC does pick opponents for certain fighters, but the difference is the UFC fighters are fighting real professional fighters. They're not fight. It's not like they're fighting basketball players. That's the difference. That's why people don't take him so serious, because he's fighting basketball players. It would be like Conor McGregor fighting a professional bowler. Of course the bowler is going to get beat down and beat up. Does Jake Paul have a point? He tweets, Dana White, you claim you would bet $1 million if I lose to Askren. You gave him Freddie Roach to train with, all access to the UFC PI, and he still got his ass handed to him. Seems like you're the real douchebag, not Ariel. In my 3rd fight, I made more in total pay than fighters in the UFC history. Maybe it's time you pay your fighters what they deserve. No wonder they all want to get into boxing. Dana, you say you make the fights fans want to see, then hurry up and make John Jones versus Ngannou. Pay them what they're worth. $10 million purse for each guy, plus pay-per-views. Why are the UFC fighters so underpaid versus boxers? Why did I make more in my 3rd fight than all but 2 Khabib versus Conor fights? He kind of has a point. The real point is, if you're not an elite fighter like Conor McGregor, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, you're not making that much money. I think the best woman's fighter makes maybe like $80,000, $90,000, which is really good actually if you think about it. If you're making $90,000 a year, you're doing pretty well for yourself. If you're making $90,000 in 3 fights, that's well over $200,000 for the year, which is still pretty good. But you got to look at a lot. Most of the fighters make 15 and 15. So they'll make like $30,000, and that's really not that much. After they give all their coaches and other people, it's really not that much. And then you got to look at the undercard fighters, like the guys in the first fight of the night. They're making maybe $5,000 and $5,000, so they barely make like $8,000. So if they fight 3 times a year, they're making $16,000. So they still have to have another job on top of this income, which is pretty crazy. And I don't think anybody thought Valentina versus Andrade was going to be this vicious and this violent. She looked very pissed off once she won the fight. No one thought she was going to take the fight to the ground and beat her down the way she did. She out grappled her. She's probably one of the baddest chicks on the planet. But look at this. No one thought she was gonna just slam her to the ground repeatedly over and over and over. And there was not even a competition. Then she gets her in a crucifix and bloodies her up. And at the end of the day, she looked very pissed off, like she wanted to prove a point. Is she the baddest girl on the planet? I think she's probably at least top 1 or 2 in the world. I think she's arguably, her skill set is better than any MMA female right now. And she proved at UFC 261 how badass she is. And Draws is this a wild woman who's going to be like a gatekeeper, who's going to always be in the top 10, but never a champion. But when you see Valentino, you're like, oh, damn, she's like the John Jones of the UFC's women division, murdering people. She did it in a very vicious and violent way. Oh my God, she's a hell of a woman, a hell of a. And Rose kept chanting, I'm the best, baby. And I'm assuming the way Rose looks, she looks like a girl who can't be the best fighter. She's not going to be the best in the world, right? But she improves every single time. She has elusive movement. She has great head movement. She's always bouncing around. That's one thing that she does very well. She has power in her hands. She's a very technical striker because she trains with her husband, Pat Barrios, which was one of the most elite fighters in the world. And look at this. No one expected her to land a brutal head kick knockout. No one seen that coming. I didn't see that coming. I never thought the way she was going to viciously and violently win the fight was a head kick knockout. No one ever thought that. People were like, oh, she has a chance to win in the later rounds, or she can take some damage. But at the end of the day, no one thought she was going to win with a brutal kick knockout. That was crazy. And the one thing I like about Rose is she's a very family-friendly champion. So if they market her right, she could be as big as Ronda Rousey and all these other females. But she has like a real good mindset. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. It kind of reminds you of Diego Sanchez when he would come in the cage. Yes, yes. And she did what she was supposed to do. She's the only female in UFC history to win the UFC title more than one time. And her opponent, I think she took it very easy and very lightly because after the fight she was like, I wasn't knocked out. Oh yeah, you were. You fell back and hit your head. But I think a lot of people underestimate the way Rose is. She looks like a model type chick, but she can really scrap. And she has very technical striking. She kind of reminds me of Demetrius Johnson on how good she is. She's that damn good. She has good takedowns, good wrestling, good stand-up. She's probably, like I said, arguably one of the best females in the world besides Valentina. That would be a good fight too, but they're in different weight classes. And then you had Usman versus Masvidal, and I think Masvidal actually, like he says during the post-fight interview, I kind of took the fight lightly because Usman didn't hit me like a truck like he did last time. This time, he ended up hitting him like a mad-ass truck. Is Usman the best welterweight of all time with 4 title defenses? Well, you got 7 title defenses by Matt Hughes and the crazy 8 wins by GSP. But he's ever improving. Did anybody see Masvidal getting brutally knocked out like this? I know I didn't. But as always, guys, let me know what you guys think of UFC 261. I thought the crowd was hype as shit. I don't know if that's because no one's been able to do anything for a year with COVID, and the fighters haven't fought in front of a crowd in over a year, and they were just ready to go out there and feel the energy of the crowd. But at the end of the day, no one saw Masvidal getting his ass knocked out. But these two guys, they always put on a hell of a fight because they are competitors, and they always make it vicious and violent. When both fighters fight, they their game evolves when they fight each other. They put everything on the line. But people are arguing that he is the best 170-pound fighter of all time. Maybe he's more vicious and violent than GSP because he was knocking out people. GSP never really did. He just wrestled him to the ground and went 5 rounds with these guys and made it look easy. But overall, he is hella good. Is he the best? We will still see if he is the best, because Kobe Covington is the next guy for him. But at the end of the day, even Conor McGregor is calling him out and saying, I'll whoop your ass. So we'll see on that. But I just wanted to share my opinions on UFC 261. It was one of the best fight cards I've ever seen. I love how pumped the crowd was. And guess what, baby? Jacksonville, Florida is a fight town. Bring more fights here, and the crowds will go bananas. But as always, I was surprised the way the main event went. I thought it would go into the later rounds, but that this sick ass brutal knockout was insane. I didn't see that coming. I guarantee you all didn't see that coming either. But as always, it's your boy Trevor back with another MMA breakdown of UFC 261.